Imagine this. You're driving a taxi late at night when a passenger waves you down. She looks pale but polite. She gives you an address, so you start driving. But when you arrive, the house is gone, swept away by the tsunami. And when you look back into the mirror, the passenger has vanished. The meter still runs, but the seat is empty. This isn't just a ghost story whispered between drivers. After the 2011 Fukushima disaster, dozens of taximen in Namie town reported encounters just like this. Some call them hallucinations. Others believe they were carrying the souls of the dead, hitching one last ride home. Welcome back to the Fading Corridor. Tonight, we're not stepping through a hallway. We're driving through empty streets haunted by silence and grief. This is a story of Namie town ghosts. On March 11, 2011, Japan was struck by catastrophe. A magnitude 9.0 earthquake rattled the Tohoku region. Minutes later, a tsunami taller than buildings swallowed the whole coastal town. Nearly 20,000 lives were lost in a single day. And if that wasn't enough, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant suffered a meltdown. Radiation poisoned the land, forcing entire towns like Namie to be abandoned. Homes, schools, and shops froze in time. But silence doesn't always mean empty. And that's when the ghost stories began. One driver said he picked up the girl near the ruins. She politely asked to be driven home. But when the cab reaches the address, the house wasn't there anymore. It has been destroyed by the tsunami. The driver turned to explain, and the seat was empty. Another driver recalled a young man in his 20s. He insisted on being taken into the restricted radiation zone. The driver warned him it wasn't possible, but the man just repeated, "I need to go home." By the time the car stopped, no one was sitting in the back. And here's the eerie details. The taxi meters still logged those rides. Machines recorded passengers who were no longer there. As weeks pass, more drivers come forward. Their stories were almost identical. Quiet passengers, pale faces, real addresses tied to houses that no longer exist. It became gossip amongst drivers. If you work in the Fukushima long enough, you eventually carry a ghost. Some drivers refused to charge the fare, believing they were helping the spirit complete one last journey. Others stayed silent, afraid of being laughed at, but behind their eyes, you could tell they believe. In Japanese folklore, spirits who die suddenly or violently are called yurei. They are pale, quiet, and bound to unfinished business. They linger in the corridors between life and death. The tsunami wasn't just destruction, it was trauma. Tens of thousands of lives ended instantly, without warning. Ghost taxi stories weren't just spooky legends, they become a way for survivors to explain grief. Because sometimes it was easier to believe loved ones still rode home at night than to accept they were gone forever. And here's where it gets even more compelling. Researchers from Tohoku University documented those cases. At least 7 taxi drivers gave formal testimony, recorded interviews describing their passengers, the routes, even the conversations. These weren't campfire stories, they were archived, written down in research papers, studies as part of Japan's recovery. Think about that. Ghost stories preserved like history, memories fading but not disappearing. So, what are the Namie town ghosts? Grief-induced hallucination? Survivors' guilt made real? Or the soul of the tsunami victims reaching out for one last ride home? Even today, drivers whisper about them. If you ever step into a taxi near Namie and hear the meter clicks on, you might wonder, are you truly alone in that fading corridor of silence? You've been listening to The Fading Corridor, where every step forward takes you deeper into Asia's haunted legends and unsolved mysteries. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some corridors don't lead you back.